Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are tackling the really complex reality of deploying non-deterministic AI agents and revealing the exact architectural framework you need to actually regain control of them. We're going to crack open the AI glass box by mastering the three pillars of observability. Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with the non-deterministic AI era, explore the limits of the black box, build an outside-in evaluation framework, dive deep into those three pillars of observability, and finally, learn exactly how to judge the agent's process. All right, part one, the non-deterministic AI era, moving beyond predictable code. To really wrap our heads around this shift, think of it like this. Traditional software verification basically asks, did we build the product right? Evaluating it is a lot like checking a delivery truck before it heads out. You do basic deterministic checks, right? Did the engine start? Did it follow its fixed route? If yes, you're good to go. But evaluating modern AI agents, that is an entirely different beast. It's much more like running telemetry on a Formula One car. The success of that car depends on dynamic, split-second, in-the-moment judgment. You just can't use a simple checklist anymore. You need continuous telemetry on everything from braking strategy to fuel consumption to validate a much harder question. Did we build the right product? And look at how this complexity just snowballs. We started out with traditional ML, where we were evaluating regression models with very clear statistical metrics. Then we moved to passive LLMs, where the outputs suddenly became probabilistic. After that came LLMs combined with retrieval augmented generation, which expanded our evaluation surface out to vector databases. But today, now we're building multi-agent LLM systems. The LLM is literally acting as a reasoning brain, integrated into a loop that's capable of autonomous action. It makes plans, it uses tools, it interacts with incredibly dynamic environments. The non-determinism is compounding at every single step of the way. Moving to Section 2, Limits of the Black Box and Why Traditional QA is Essentially Dead. So this brings us to a massive, unavoidable problem. Your standard testing models are officially obsolete. In traditional software, a failure is usually a system crash or maybe a null pointer exception. It's loud, it's obvious. But AI agents, they fail entirely differently. Passing unit tests absolutely does not mean an agent is safe, because they fail subtly. A financial agent might quietly over-penalize loan applications based on skewed zip code training data. A research agent might confidently invent a totally false historical date in an academic report. Or they might even develop emergent, unanticipated behaviors just to exploit system loopholes. These failures do not trigger crashes, but they are profoundly wrong. They're operationally dangerous, and they silently erode enterprise trust. Section 3. The Outside-In Evaluation Framework, Defining Agent Quality Goals. To evaluate systems that actually think, we have to make a strategic shift to what's known as the outside-in approach. Before we go digging around in internal components and model weights, we first have to measure end-to-end task success against four interconnected pillars of agent quality. First is effectiveness. Did it actually achieve the user's intent? Second is efficiency. Look, an agent taking 25 steps and 5 self-correction loops to book a flight is a low-quality agent, even if it eventually succeeds. Third is robustness. What happens when it faces missing data or maybe an API timeout? Does it retry, or does it just hallucinate an answer? And fourth, this is the non-negotiable gate, safety and alignment. Does it resist prompt injection and securely follow system boundaries? But here is the hard truth you need to hear if you're an architect or a product leader. It is flat out impossible to measure any of those four pillars if you are only looking at the final output. Think about it. You can't measure efficiency if you don't count the internal steps. You can't verify safety if you can't inspect the agent's reasoning. You simply cannot judge a process you can't see. Which brings us to Section 4, the three pillars of observability, illuminating the thought process. Let's talk solutions and see how this actually builds our technical foundation. We have to literally X-ray the AI to illuminate its internal trajectory. This is observability. It's all about making the invisible visible. It gives you the power to actually evaluate the complex decisions your agent makes out in the wild. And if you take just one single thing away from this explainer, let it be this. Agent quality is an architectural pillar, not a final testing phase. It absolutely must be built into the system from day one. So the crucial point here is that we implement three very specific pillars of observability to finally crack open that glass box. First, we have logging. This acts as the agent's diary, recording all the raw events. Second is tracing. This is basically following the agent's footsteps, linking those events together to show the full trajectory of a complex multi-step interaction. And third, metrics. These provide the agent's health report by aggregating all that raw data into actual actionable insights. Now, within those pillars, particularly when we're looking at metrics, we really need to divide our focus into two distinct categories. On one side, we track system metrics. You can think of these as the vital signs, pulse and blood pressure. These are quantitative measures like the total tokens consumed, the wall clock latency, and the step counts. It's basically a measure of how much money the agent is burning. But because we are evaluating non-deterministic intelligence here, we also need quality metrics. This is where we actually judge the decision-making itself. Was the internal plan logical? Was the subjective value of the action actually aligned with what the user wanted? Section 5. Judging the agent's process and officially opening the glass box. Now that we actually have the observability data via our logs, traces, and metrics, we can finally evaluate the real process instead of just staring blindly at a failed final output. This is what we call the inside-out view. We systematically assess the trace sequence. First, the thought. We check the LLM's planning. Did it hallucinate? Did it lose context? Second, the action. We check its tool usage. Did it call the wrong API or maybe leave out mandatory parameters? Third, the observation. How did it interpret the tool's response? An incredibly common failure is an agent getting a 404 error from an API and just confidently proceeding anyway as if literally nothing happened. By tracing these footsteps, we can pinpoint the exact millisecond the logic failed. But let's be real. Achieving this at enterprise scale is a massive challenge. You can't just have a human manually read every single JSON trace. To do this across thousands of trajectories, we use the LLM as a judge paradigm. We can employ a powerful state-of-the-art model, like Gemini Advanced, for example, and provide it with the agent's output, the original prompt, and a very strict evaluation rubric. You might, for example, force a choice between two outputs and ask the judging LLM to explain its reasoning. It is an incredibly fast way to automatically score multi-step reasoning and track regressions right in your CI/CD pipeline. But let's be absolutely clear about something. Automation definitely has its limits. Human-in-the-loop evaluation remains the mandatory, non-negotiable gate for validating complex domain knowledge. You simply need human experts to interpret subtle nuances, creativity, and tone that an automated judge is going to miss entirely. Furthermore, humans are required to establish the golden set benchmark in the first place. Before your automated system can score a single thing, humans have to curate the evaluation set that defines what success actually looks like, especially when it comes to secure AI alignment and preventing rogue interactions. We have officially moved from verifying predictable code to validating unpredictable autonomous agents. By implementing the 3 pillars of observability, logging, tracing, and metrics, we transition from staring at a confusing black box to evaluating a transparent glass box. So as you architect your next intelligent system, leave yourself with this vital question. Are your AI agents truly trustworthy, or are they just keepable? Have you built the observability required to know the difference with absolute confidence? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, keep building responsibly.